So if you're starting a business right now, I want you to focus on these 3 things that will make it very profitable. I've been doing this for 20 years. If you incorporate these 3 things into your company, it's going to start making a lot more money. Problem is, most people don't know what these things are, or they've never implemented themselves. So the first thing is, when you're starting a business and you want to make it profitable, you have to look at how big is the market. Is the market big or is it small? The question is, how many other people are also creating this business as well? Have you tried to mystery shop people? Have you seen if there's anything that shows that there's a demand? And that's why for a lot of people, when they start off in business, one of the best things you can do is to create something called a join list or a product launch list. For example, there's 5 levels when you're launching something. You have a pre-launch, launch, and then you close it, and then you reopen again. There's a guy called Jeff Walker who created this. It's called a product launch formula. When you are seeing if other people are in this and you mystery shop them, is that niche big enough for what you want to do? For example, I am in the business of professional and personal development. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. The question is, are there any people right now doing that? The answer is yes. And so is there a market for it? Is there people that actually want that? The answer is absolutely yes. And there are lots of things you can use. For example, there's lots of tools now that can tell you the demand for things. I like to go onto all social media and I like to look at what people are engaging with. Are they liking the comment? Are they sharing the comment? Are they able to create things that allow you to digest that content, or is there something missing? Because in the past, it was always like, learn the stuff yourself. Now it's, can you do it for me? I see the way the whole industry is changing. And that's why they say the riches are in the niches. There are 3 different types of niches. You've got the broad niche. So a good example of that would be yoga. You have what we call the micro niche, and that could be like yoga for health. And then you would have something called a nano niche, and that could be yoga for women who are pregnant, for example. When I'm looking at creating the niche, is that niche size big, or is that niche in massive demand, or is there a hole within that niche? I'll give you another example, real estate. So when I got into real estate, the way I was able to build a multi-million-pound property portfolio was I was able to find property that was on the market, but my niche was buying property below market value. So one thing I really love to do is to find out how can I buy a property below its market value, and that became my unique selling point or my unique selling proposition. So when I'm able to do that, straight away I get a massive advantage, because now people know, oh, John's the guy that can buy your property within 28 days. And that was my unique selling proposition. I said, look, if you want to sell your property, I will buy it for cash in 28 days. And that's exactly what I did. And that's how I was able to build a multi-million-pound property portfolio. Number 2 is, whenever we are looking to create business that becomes profitable, then you've got to look at what the business model is. I was on the plane ride here. You can probably see I'm in Sydney right now. And I was on the plane ride here with a good friend of mine I've known for over a decade. His name's Michael. And we're on the plane together. He was saying to me, John, you know, it's funny because all these business models that they've been doing for like 3 decades, it has now started to evolve to something else. He said in the past, people would learn things with, CD, audio, VHS. Now it's like, okay, you download it. And it's interesting because one of my clients in LA said to me, and he used to work in Motorola. They had the Motorola phone that came out, which was like basically a smartphone. In China, it did really well because, that people's, fingers were a little bit, they said they were slightly smaller. And then they did the same phone in the US, but they did some market research. And then people were like, well, I'm not going to use it because my thumbs are too big. They thought people with big thumbs could not type. And so that's why they didn't even launch it. And of course, now you know what has happened with iPhone. When I'm looking at business models, is the business model scalable, or is it something that will stop it from growing? And all the time that I see a lot of business models, ones that succeed, the ones that fail, it's always the easiest ones. Like if you look at McDonald's, it's not that complicated business model, is it? I mean, the business model is burgers, fries, chips, Coke, all that kind of stuff. But it's very simple, and the process of creating it is not that hard in terms of the system. What I find is the simpler the system, the easier it is to scale. When I look at really complicated business models, I've got all these different moving parts. It's really hard to scale because first of all, you have to figure out messaging for all that stuff all the time. Then every time your product changes, you have to find a new audience, you have to find a new product, and so on and so forth. But the key to this is to make sure that we create business models that can scale, but it's got to be simplified. Again, if you go to McDonald's, when they first started, it was just chicken sandwich meal, Big Mac meal, fillet or fish meal. By the way, when you get these UV lights, it releases the endorphins and then you start feeling happy. If you can, especially if you've got jet lag, try and catch a sunrise. Anyway, let's come back to this. When we're talking about business models, right, there's a couple of things I look for. One is, can I simplify it? 2 is, can something take that business out? For example, if you're selling iPhones, you're selling something that's physical product. If you're stocking it, the risk is that you can't sell it. Or for example, let's say you're in the event space, you put on a big event and then suddenly it can be canceled because something happens. That's a big risk. When you get into that business model, can the business scale? Is there a big risk to that business model? And the third thing that that I look for business model is there a way that we can have what we call an ascension model? So the ascension model is we start off something that's low, then we go to medium, then we go to high, and then we go to super high. Can it ascend all the way through? And if your business model can ascend all the way through, then it makes it profitable because you're not just offering one thing now, you're offering multiple things. Third thing, which I think is the most important one for all of you when it comes to creating profitable business. By the way, if you know anyone who's in business right now but they're not doing so well, do me a favor, share this video with them because I really want them to get this. If you have any questions, leave a comment below as well. I'll also answer the questions and I'll link a video at the end to really help you scale it in terms of the marketing. The third thing is when you look at a profitable company, who is involved in that company? For example, who are the directors? Who are the staff? Who are the team? Who are the people that can help you grow it? Like, you can't do everything by yourself. So every time I see a company, if it's going to be profitable, there's a point where you're having too much staff. So when I first started in business, I was scaling up too fast. Actually, you should scale up organically. What happens is you go and hire loads of people, and when the business stops coming in, then you're in trouble because now you still have your overheads and costs. The key to a profitable business is to find the lean sweet spot. That sits between under 10 people. So you have under 10 people in your organization and you can make it very profitable. And the key to this is to find people, one person can do like 5 person's job. That's how, if you look at how all the lean startups work, that's exactly how they do it. They start off with business models that are profitable, that are scalable, but they build a really good team. For example, when I'm investing in tech companies, one thing I look for is, do they have a good CTO, Chief Technology Officer? If it's supposed to be a tech company, it's not going to do very well. So that's why I want to challenge you. I want to ask you to look for these 3 things whenever you start a business, because I see so many people when they start businesses, they say, John, I'm not making money. I say, why? You're not generating enough leads. The business model's obsolete. They don't have a good team running it. The cash flow is bad. Because here's the thing, when you have a good team of people, you can scale your cash flow up. When it's only you will still make money. You'll be very profitable. But the problem is you're going to start hitting a ceiling. You'll start hitting a ceiling of like 100K. And once you get to 100K, that's it. Or maybe 200K. Or if you're a consultant, you get probably up to $500,000. And that's going to be your cap. But if you want to go 6 figures to 7 figures and beyond, you need to have a team of people that can help you in different areas. And that's what I've really realized, is that the team is the backbone to support whatever business that you run. And here's the thing, if you can take yourself out of the business, even better. If you can fire yourself and let your team run the business, even better. Why? Because that means you can focus on other things. The more things that you focus on, the more that you're able to monetize. The more that you monetize, the more that you're able to do and implement. And by the way, if you like this, subscribe to the channel, like this channel, and check out this video here.